The Republican National Convention is over. Donald Trump is the Republican nominee for 2016 with Mike Pence as his running mate. And there's some very significant pieces of news that have come out of that. Obviously, this is a media event. This is just to drum up support for the candidate to make them, and his running mate to make them more well-known nationally, all that. So you do expect the media to give it a lot of coverage. The media has been focusing on the wrong things as usual. I do want to talk about the most significant aspect about what happened. And that's the GOP platform, or one particular point of the GOP platform. I'll also touch on other things that have happened as well, the things that the media has focused on and is loved to focus on. But the most significant thing that has happened is the GOP platform showing support for reinstating Glass Steagall. And this is where everyone that knows what Glass Steagall is and where the Republican Party stands on regulation, this is where everyone that knows those things goes, what the fuck is going on? I couldn't believe it. I saw a YouTube video. The first mention I saw of this was on a YouTube video. I looked at the title. I couldn't believe it. I checked the video. I couldn't believe it while watching the video. I looked at the news. I read news article after news article after news article. I still couldn't believe it. It's almost unbelievable to a certain extent. To explain what the situation is, Glass Steagall was a piece of legislation that prevented the big banks as they are right now from existing. Reinstating it would mean those banks would be broken up. You understand the financial crisis that we experienced, and we're still feeling the effects of it, came as a result of the big banks, and one in particular, Lehman Brothers, going under. There are various reasons why it went under. Some say that it went under to save the bigger banks, whatever. They went under, we all suffered, and we continue to suffer because of that. So the Republican Party, which is anti-regulation, which is viewed widely, and rightly so, as being the party in the pocket of rich businessmen like the Koch brothers, in the pocket of Wall Street, which supported Citizens United, that Republican Party has adopted as part of its official party platform, the idea of reinstating Glass Steagall to break up the big banks. This is where Wall Street starts sweating and cursing. They've been cursing Trump's name since they found out about this. Look at Bloomberg, for instance. Look at the Financial Times, all that stuff. Look at the financial media, and you'll see article after article slamming the GOP for this. And do you know who's responsible? Trump's campaign. Trump's side. Trump is doing this. Now, it might not be Trump himself, it might be Mike Pence. See, Mike Pence is a really bad politician overall, as far as I see. I don't think he's the best choice. But, turns out, the one thing he isn't in favor of is the big banks. He's not a big fan of Wall Street, even though he has taken money from big donors, but he's not a big fan of Wall Street, he's not a big fan of the big banks. And, in fact, he was against the bailouts that the big banks got. So this might be from Pence, and it certainly is from Trump's side. If you believe otherwise, I would point out that the person who announced that the GOP would be adopting this as part of its official platform was Paul Manafort, who is the person in charge of Trump's campaign. So Trump's side is pushing for the reinstatement of Glass Steagall. Well, the Trump campaign made the statement that they're still looking at it. But they were the ones who put it on the platform, so you can take their position is pretty clear. So Trump has a VP that is against the big banks, representing a party that wants to magically, miraculously even, that has made the 180 and has decided that, yeah, we want to break the big banks. Meanwhile, Hillary Clinton has said that she will not reinstate Glass Steagall because Glass Steagall was removed by Bill Clinton. Wonderful president, Bill Clinton, by the way. He took a swipe at welfare. In fact, he campaigned on taking a swipe at welfare, and he did it. He then instituted Don't Ask, Don't Tell. He signed NAFTA, a horrible free trade agreement, because the problem with free trade agreements is that a lot of countries that sign those free trade agreements, they suffer Perhaps maybe not as much as the United States, but they certainly suffer as well, in part because they have to adopt certain laws or make certain laws in line with US laws. Like, say, for instance, copyright laws. And you know what Bill Clinton also signed? The Digital Millennium Copyright Act. The reason we have to deal with such bullshit things like the content ID system on YouTube, YouTubers like myself, the copyright strike system, all that crap, is because of the DMCA. Fuck that piece of legislation. So, Bill Clinton has done a bunch of horrible things as president, and here comes Trump saying, Glass Steagall, which you destroyed, we want to bring that back. Now, Clinton doesn't support bringing it back, though she has her own measures on this issue. Don't expect her to take a stand against the big banks when Wall Street supports her financially. They're donating to her campaign at the moment. They're not donating to Trump, so that's one of the reasons Trump is doing this, because, yeah, Trump did ask for their support. They told them to fuck off, and Trump turned around and said, oh, you think you can hurt me? I'll hurt you worse. Far worse than you could ever hurt me. This is his reply. I like to think to a certain extent that's why Trump's side put this on the platform. That's one of the reasons. But beyond that, Clinton's favorite to be her running mate, she hasn't made the choice, but the favorite to be her running mate is Tim Kaine, who is supporting the idea of deregulating the banks. No, seriously. Clinton's favorite to be her running mate would favor destroying regulation on the banks, the big banks in particular. Whereas Trump's VP is against the big banks, and the GOP platform is in favor of reinstating Glass Steagall. The world has turned upside down. Welcome to the 2016 election, where the Republican candidate is not only the anti-war candidate, the left-wing guy on trade, but also on the big banks. Whereas Clinton, and not sucking the dick of corporate America. Whereas Clinton is the puppet of corporate America, is taking all their money, favors the big banks, might pick a VP that wants to destroy regulation on the banks in general, not just the big ones. And Clinton herself is very strongly in favor of foreign intervention. That's the situation the US is finding itself in. What a turn of events. And you know why I support Trump? I support Trump because every other Republican that he ran against, none of them would have done anything like this. All of them were for interventions across the world. All of them were for free trade and still are for free trade. And none of them would have supported something like this. Because they were all bought by the big donors on Wall Street. So this is the situation the United States finds itself in 2016. I think the saying that I don't know which candidate is on the left or right holds very true when it comes to Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. Because clearly on the economy, at the very least, Trump's more on the left than Hillary is. At least on certain issues. And by the way, Bernie Sanders lost on a number of issues when it came to like minimum wage, when it came to the Democratic Party platform. Officially, the Democratic Party also has it on their platform to reinstate Glass Steagall, but Clinton's already said she won't do it. The platform is not binding. A candidate doesn't have to follow it. They can distance themselves from it. Trump's campaign may formally support it, and it would be unbelievable if at the debates he went there and said, you support the big banks, I want to break up the big banks. And you're already seeing, and you know what the reaction from Wall Street is? They're furious. Like, they're literally pissed off. I think they started sweating when they heard the news, then they got really, really angry. So the media is lashing out against Trump. The left-wing media, by the way. The financial media as well. They're lashing out against Trump for this, saying Clinton's plan is better. Right. Absolutely. I'm going to believe that. No. So that's the situation. And then there's other pieces of news from the Republican convention that are worth talking about. Like everyone's favorite, Ted fucking Cruz. So Ted Cruz decided that he was going to play the political scumbag as he usually does. He went to the convention while refusing to endorse Donald Trump. I didn't expect him to endorse Trump personally. I never would have expected Cruz to endorse Trump. I think anyone expecting otherwise is ignoring the things that happened between Trump and Cruz in the primaries. Cruz is very salty about what happened in the primaries, and probably so is Trump when it comes to Cruz. So the expectation that Cruz would endorse Trump, fantasy really, as I see it. So Cruz had a 21-minute speech. It was originally supposed to be 12 minutes. Then he got permission to make it 20 minutes. Then he dragged it on to 21 minutes, which created problems for the people running the show. So that's what Cruz did. And that's scummy in itself as far as I see it. Getting 12 minutes, then demanding 20 minutes, getting 20 minutes, and then dragging it on to 21 minutes. Ted Cruz in a nutshell, a literal scumbag. Hate Trump however much you want. Cruz and all the other Republicans that had a chance of winning that Trump defeated are worse because they're for foreign intervention. They're for free trade agreements. They're for so many horrible things that Trump isn't in favor of. Like for people like Ted Cruz, a transgender person using a bathroom is equivalent to molesting a child. Amazing, isn't it? But that's how people like Ted Cruz view things. Cruz is a literal political scumbag. Crooked Hillary, oh, she's bad. Cruz might be the one person in political America that's worse than Hillary Clinton. And I don't say that lightly when it comes to dishonesty, that is. So that's the situation. So what is Cruz playing at? What was he playing at? What was his plan? Oh, he'll go to the convention, he'll give a speech, he'll get all the media attention. That's why he asked for 20 minutes instead of 12. He'll get all the media attention so that the next election cycle, if Trump loses, he's in a favorable position. He was not going to endorse Trump. The problem for Cruz is Paul Manafort demanded Cruz basically stick to the script. Cruz refused to, and then Manafort got the delegates to boo Cruz. That's how the booing started. It grew from there. People got pissed off. The crowd turned against Cruz. Initially, it was friendly to him. Then it turned against him. And as a result of that, he lost. It would have been smarter if he wasn't going to endorse Trump. He obviously wasn't going to endorse Trump. It would have been smarter for him to not attend the convention. I don't think it's a bad idea for him to not endorse Trump, at least when it comes to his personal political machinations. Make no mistake, I absolutely despise Ted Cruz and everything he stands for. I'm just talking about what would be better politically for him. It would have been better if he had not attended instead of attending and refusing to endorse Trump. If he was going to attend, he should have endorsed Trump. That's the way I view things personally. So that's the situation, but it does strengthen his position if Trump loses. And this is where we get into the issue. If Trump loses this election, next election cycle, and they might win, just keep that in mind. People like Ted Cruz will be in a stronger position. The Republican establishment will come back and destroy everything good Trump is trying to do. Like, hey, let's not invade all the foreign countries. Let's not have a pissing match with Russia, for instance, over the Middle East, when we should work together to defeat the Islamic State. Let's not intervene in Syria. Let's not destroy another country. Not that Syria isn't already a destroyed country, but let's not completely burn the Middle East. Which, by the way, Clinton is fully supportive of doing that. Like, she wants to intervene in the Middle East. So, with that in mind, Trump needs to win so that people like Cruz have no chance coming up. But for him personally, for Cruz personally, he's putting his bets on Trump losing. Because if Trump wins, Trump will be in a strong position and people like Cruz will disappear from the political spectrum. So Cruz is making that bet. Meanwhile, you see the difference between Cruz and Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders was willing to make a deal with the devil and endorsed Hillary Clinton. It was a pretty weak endorsement, I gotta say. But Bernie's plan is that Hillary will win or Hillary will lose, but either way he'll be in a stronger position because the Democratic establishment won't be able to blame him. The Democratic establishment will do everything in its power to oppose Bernie Sanders, whether or not Hillary Clinton wins or loses. In fact, for Bernie, for his side, it would have been smarter for Hillary to lose. But they can't accept even 4 years of Donald Trump, even if that strengthens their position. I watched a movie recently with Bryan Cranston as Lyndon B. Johnson, And in that movie, All the Way, there's a point. You liberals don't know how to fight. And that's absolutely true. Bernie would be better served not endorsing Clinton and then having Clinton lose, because that would strengthen his position, because that would mean the Democratic establishment would fall flat on its face. Of course, they would burn Bernie inside, but he would be in a stronger position. By endorsing Hillary, he'll still be in a stronger position if she loses, but he's basically hoping the establishment will come to his side. Newsflash, the Democratic establishment will never come to his side. Just like the Republican establishment, a lot of the people in the Republican establishment, even though Paul Ryan and Mitch McConnell played bold this time around, they're still very much against Donald Trump, and they will never come on board fully, and the first moment of weakness, they will strike. The only way for the establishment to lose is for them to be completely and utterly crushed in an election. So Bernie is saying, oh, Hillary Clinton must win because Donald Trump, we can't afford to let Donald Trump win. But if she wins, he'll be in a weaker position, and people like Ted Cruz will be in a stronger position. That's a horrible outcome. But hey, liberals don't know how to fucking fight. Those are the words from the movie I described with Bryan Cranston and Lyndon B. Johnson. There's actually a lot of modern political commentary in that movie. I'd recommend it. So that's the situation of Ted Cruz. And then a couple of final points to talk about.